Okay, so hi everyone. So today we'll dive deeper into functions. We'll discuss about different kind. What are function statements? What are expressions? What are the differences between them? What is an anonymous function, and etc. We'll try to cover all of these topics, and sometimes they are asked in the kind of theory questions in the interviews also, and sometimes when we read any Stack Overflow answer or any blog related to JavaScript or something, these terms are pretty common over there. So it is important for us to know the meaning. What exactly do they mean, so that we better understand the language. Okay. So first is function statement. What is a function statement? If the interview asks you this, so what is a function statement? See, function statement is nothing but the standard alone definition of a function in JavaScript, which means if we define a function like this, A, B, C, then this is a function statement with the keyword function. Okay, so this is a function statement, and this would execute like why by default whatever is the execution uh, syntax and all of that, and this is perfectly fine. And if anybody asks you what is a function statement, then you should tell them that a standalone definition of a function in JavaScript is known as a function statement. Now next is uh, function expression. See, uh, remember I told you, if we do something like x is equals to function, this is completely valid thing. Uh, this is completely valid in JavaScript. If you remember, just a second. Yeah. So if you remember, I told you that this is completely valid in JavaScript, and this, if we write our functions in this kind of format, in this kind of syntax, then this is known as a function expression. Basically, a function expression is something is a concept in which we use functions as a value, where we have a variable and we assign its value as a function. This is the function expression, nothing else. Okay, so right. Okay, I recently changed my I tried to change my the theme of this, and this I'm not liking it that much. Maybe I should just switch back. uh, just a second, guys. What was it? What was my theme? Okay, I'll do it later, I guess. I really like that one. Okay, now, yeah. So this is a function expression. Now another. Let's just write it over here. Standalone definition of a function. Assignment of function to a variable. Okay, so sometimes this is a pretty common question. People ask what is the difference between these two. Let's see the difference. I'll not tell you, we'll see it in the console and then you can interpret what is the difference. Okay, console log, what is this? Function statement. Okay, and over here, console log function expression. Let's just try to hoist both of them. Hoisting means calling or using the function even before its definition. Okay, this is what hoisting is. Okay, so let's see in the route. So x is not a function. See, you could have seen that function statement was easily hoisted and we were able to access it even before its definition, but we were not able to access this function. Why? Because over here it just acts as a normal variable, and whenever javascript creates the memory space, it uh, defines the variable as undefined. Okay, so javascript does not know that it has a function or a number or anything, because it does not matter for javascript if over here we have one or a function or whatever, because during the memory creation phase this thing is undefined right now, and now we are trying to call this. So JavaScript is like, bro, this is undefined. How are you even calling this thing? This is an error. Okay. So that's why we get this error saying JavaScript is not a function. So let's just try to put a debugger over here. So what we have to see, uh, wait for just a second. We have to see the hosting, right? Memory space we have to see. So let's go X. So we need to see the, let's just see this is the global scope. Over here we'll find X undefined. We see over here X is undefined. So since X is undefined, we cannot call it, because for JavaScript currently it is undefined. Nothing is over here. Just some garbage memory that it's undefined over here right now. So yeah, so this is the difference. So what is the difference between statement and function? Difference is hoisting. Okay. Now we will talk about anonymous function. Functions which do not have a name associated with them are known as anonymous functions. For example, this is an anonymous function, but you would be seeing a red squiggly over here which says identifier expected, which means we need to name this. If we have to name this, then how is it an anonymous function? And if the declaration of anonymous functions is not even possible in JavaScript, then why are we talking about this? Why are we discussing this thing right now? See, it is true that this type of definition is not allowed in JavaScript. This type of anonymous functions are not allowed. But if we, if we try to do this, see, error is gone. We are able to execute it, because now the anonymous functions are completely valid when used in function expression. See, over here also we use an anonymous. Anonymous functions have primarily this use case only, where we have to use functions as values. Then we use anonymous functions, because maybe it's just a function which says 1 plus 2, or it just says success or something, and we would not require to have this uh, use case of this in some other thing. So we just don't care to name about it, because when you develop large applications. Naming things is really difficult, which I have experienced in a while. So yeah, this was anonymous function, which is uh, function without name. Okay. Now we'll see name function expression. See, let me just see if I'm not missing anything. We have statement, difference, anonymous. Okay, now we have to see name. So let's just name function expression. So what are named function expression? See, this is a normal function expression. Agree? If we do something like function a, then this becomes a named function expression. When that function which you are assigning as a value to this expression has a name of its own, then it is a named function expression. Okay. Now we'll see an interesting. Maybe we do not need this. Just get rid of this. And this also. Okay. Now we'll just focus upon this. Let's just console log name function expression and try to call. See, it would be executed without any issue. And name function expression, it is executed without any issue. See, but now we have a function which has the name of its own. So maybe is it possible if I try to directly call this function? Let's just see if it is possible for us. It is not possible. Why? Okay, I'll explain this to you. Over here, okay, so this is a global scope, okay? In the global scope, we have variable y defined, which has this value. And whenever we call this, we try to execute this. But nowhere in the global scope do we have a function or a variable or anything which has its name a. And we will see this using debugger. Let's just see. Till over here, maybe it's okay till over here. Let's just see. And in the scope, in the global scope, we should just see y. See, in the a, we cannot see any a over here, right? We just have y over here, which is c. And y has a function over here. Now, if we do not have anything in the global scope, in the memory space or in the or like in the global space, then how are we trying to access it? It is not possible to access something which does not even exist. Okay, but let's just say I have to access it over here. Okay, okay now, okay, like I would say like okay, you are right. It's not in the global scope. Then there is no method to access this thing. Maybe I want to just return this or whatever is inside this function or something like that. So although it is not in the global scope, but it is present in its own local memory scope. And if I do this, then I think function A should be printed. And let's just see. And I have so oh, oh, what did this happen? Yes, it was again and again calling itself. I guess. Yeah. Oh, something is wrong. So, what did happen? Uh, yeah. So it was again and again and again and again. So it was, oh, I by mistake started an infinite loop. It would just come over here, again call, again come over here, again call, again come over here, again call, and so it would just go on, go on. So see, they could not access this variable in the global scope, but we were able to access it over here because it is present in its local memory scope. Let's just see if we are over here, then are we able to access this? See, in the local scope, we have A, which is the function A, F4. Okay. So this is about named function expressions. I hope this is clear. Now, next thing that we will talk about is parameters and R. Many of the times these words are, used interchangeably, but they are not completely same. They are two different things. Okay. Now, first we will talk about is parameter. So, parameter is something. For example, if I have a function A and I have this parameter, then this thing which takes in the argument is known as a parameter. And when I try to call this function one, then this one is an argument. So basically parameter is something that is taken in by the function and argument is something which is passed to a function. Okay. So don't get confused in both of these. These are two different things. Okay. So at last, yeah, another important topic. So name function, different. Okay. Now we will see first class. First class function. What is the first class function? See, if I have a function ABC with a parameter, one any parameter should be passed to it, and it just console logs hi maybe. Then, and now I try to call this over here, and in when I'm trying to call this in the argument list, when I pass in another function, for which, for example, maybe function then then this is allowed in JavaScript. So, and this makes a function a first class function. So basically first class function is the ability of functions to pass functions as arguments and return functions as return values. This is also completely valid. See, over here we are trying to return a function. Over here we are passing the function as an argument. Then this ability that the this ability of us that we can do all of this stuff makes functions first class function. This is the property of function. And because of this property, functions are also known as first class citizens. So what are first class functions? First class functions basically means the ability to pass in functions as arguments or receive functions as return values are known as first class functions, and this ability of them makes them first class citizens in JavaScript. Okay, so this was some topics that sometimes you may get asked anywhere, maybe I don't know. So it's better to know them. So yeah, thank you everyone, and I'll just change the theme now because I didn't like